Hello there, what is going on everyone? Today we're talking Star Wars Legion battle forces, specifically the Wookiee Defenders. We're going to talk a little bit about this battle force and put together a list, something that I am having some fun with because frankly I like talking about certain fringe lists. I like talking about certain races that kind of didn't used to be able to be their own army that now can, and I've wanted Wookiees to be their own battle force for a long time, and that ended up happening. And since it's happened, I have only run Wookiees one time for a heavy Wookiee list, and I wanna get back into that. So this is kind of my journey. Maybe you can travel along with me. I'd love to hear some of your thoughts for Wookiee Defenders in the comments section below. Also, we're doing that $25 Amazon gift card giveaway. You just have to be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. Wookiee Defenders Battleforce, it's a way for you to run only Wookiees if you want, but it's not restricted to only Wookiees. Sort of like how if they ever do Gungans, it may not be a Gungan strictly battle force. It might be a Naboo battle force that might allow Padme Amidala, Qui-Gon Jinn, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, if to potentially join and kind of replicate what you saw in the Battle of Naboo. Potentially, you might be able to get some Naboo Royal Guard, all kinds of interesting stuff that you could potentially add to a battle force to enhance it a little bit more and to spread it out. Of course, we don't really have too many of those units. We have Obi-Wan Kenobi, but he's not the little kid, not the Padawan Kenobi. We've got General Kenobi, so we need a Qui-Gon Jinn. We need a lot of other things to make that work. But we do have a lot of stuff to make Wookiees work, although arguably, they do need a lot more. There's a lot more things I think Wookiee Defenders could use, Wookiees that could just show up in the game. I think there's a ton. I'd love to see Chrysanthemum actually show up in the game, and there's a little bit with this battle force that makes it seem like that is future-proofed and possible. Let's talk about this particular battle force. We've got some of the rules up on screen. So this is going to be a Galactic Republic faction battle force. So if you go to build this in a list builder, you'll have to start off with the Republic faction and then choose the battle force from there, because you can't build a Rebel Wookiee battle force because the cards that you're going to need are going to be on the Republic faction. Rebels can run heavy Wookiees, but not all Wookiees. In this case, and again, this one doesn't have to be all Wookiees, but you can make it all Wookiees, and that's one of the things that makes it so cool. Because frankly, I don't really trust the clones very much if I'm a Wookiee player, you know what I mean? Like they kind of, they're one of the few places that didn't see Order 66 go super well for them. So, yeah, it says a Wookiee Defenders Battle Force is part of the Galactic Republic faction. The following unit counts as a core unit for the purposes of army building and battle cards. The Wookiee Warriors, Noble Fighters. So there's multiple types of Wookiee Warriors. There's also the Kashyyyk Defenders, but the Noble Fighters version is the one that can count as core. Your army must include at least 3 Wookiee Trooper units, which I think if you're building this battle force, you probably want to do that. I don't see any reason why you'd build this battle force not to really have Wookiee Trooper units, but maybe it's for the slightly augmented Radon-Nasp version. And then it says the first time one or more miniatures in each Wookiee Trooper unit are defeated each round, that unit may make a speed 1 move. A unit can make this move regardless of its speed. So that's an important thing to think about. If you have immobilized tokens and things that change your speed, you can still get that speed 1 move. However, keep in mind, if you are, you're not going to be able to do anything super crazy with that speed 1 move, because it's probably going to happen during somebody else's turn. You're not going to be able to attack if you have, if you have charge or anything like that, because that'll be outside of your activation, most likely. You're probably not shooting yourself and killing yourself during your activation. Although, in theory, if you were to trigger an enemy standby, then they could shoot you during your activation. You might lose a miniature, get a free move during your own activation, because it doesn't say that the first time one or more miniatures that are defeated outside of your activation. It just says the first time each round. So that's something to think about. For army building, here's what's allowed for this battle force. It's Yoda, Chewbacca, the Chewbacca commander, not the Rebel Chewbacca, although you'll probably be using that particular miniature. And this is also something that when reprints come around, I might be looking to pick up another Chewbacca. I'm interested to see how all of the how all this stuff ends up shaking out and what things look like. I know some things they're still doing the soft plastic versions of for now, just to get them out there and make sure they're available. And the Wookiee Chieftain for Commander. A Jedi Knight Operative is available. Now, you're like, why is a Jedi Knight Operative in there when that doesn't exist in the game? That's part of the upcoming commanders, rather the customizable commanders. You'll be able to run a Jedi Knight as an operative, apparently. You know, it's like, kind of like a little bit of a spoiler for what you're going to be getting with those custom boxes. Special Forces, you can have an ARC Trooper, but not a strike team, and you can run Wookiee Warriors. Now, Wookiee Warriors have two different types. You can run both of them, the Noble Fighters and the Kashyyyk Defenders. For supports, you can run a Bark Speeder or the Rada Nasp, and for a heavy, you can run a Saber Tank or an Infantry support platform. And the cool thing is you don't need that many core in here. You only need 0 to 2, right? Like there's a whole lot of flexibility in what you may want to run here, and that's a kind of a cool thing. So, and for unique upgrades, you can run a Jedi Consular, Jedi Guardian, Jedi Negotiator, Jedi Training Force Adept, Jedi Training Master Duelist, Jedi Training Peacekeeping Mission. These are all things that presumably will be coming with that, custom Jedi. We don't really know much about those other than those are going to be certain upgrades and ways to customize your commander. And that's also very exciting, but that's probably a subject for another video. I'm sure we're going to be getting some of that stuff spoiled in the next month or two. So it's exciting, and that's another thing. But this is also one of those things because it says, rank requirements. You can you can have 1 to 2 between commander and operative. And since Jedi Knight is the only operative that's out there, that's fine. But the fact that it's always allowed operatives even before this, but yet there weren't any, and it's like there's room for a Chrysanthemum to fit in there and then still have a commander. So because Chrysanthemum would almost certainly be an operative. I don't see Chrysanthemum being a commander if they ever did him. But 1 to 2 for both of those ranks, which does mean that if Chrysanthemum comes out, you're going to be kind of having to choose. You won't be able to run all the Wookiees, although they can always adjust that, or they can say Chrysanthemum counts as special forces for purposes of this list building or something like that. There's lots of ways they could do that. But you can include up to 4 special forces units. You need 3 to 6 core units, which is interesting because your clone trooper infantry 0 to 2, right? So you can't max out on clone troopers. You have, again, of course, you do need at least 3 Wookiee trooper units as well. You can have up to 3 supports, and you can only have 1 heavy. And then they have the recon rank requirements. I'm not running recon. That's the smaller version of the game. So that's some of what we are allowed to do with this particular battle force. So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to actually put in this one, because I have gone back and forth on how I wanted to build these guys. I have a lot of Wookiees. I don't have a lot of Radon Nasps. I don't. Let's jump over. I'm going to be using Tabletop Admiral today. So we're going to be using Tabletop Admiral to build this list. And I've gone back and forth of doing, Chewbacca and the Wookiee Chieftain, and almost everything I come up with says that I have to, get another Radon Nasp, and I didn't like putting that one together. It was one of those that's like, I just don't want to build another one. I think one is good for me. It's just not my favorite. Maybe that'll change someday. It was just not a fun vehicle for me to build. I wasn't a big fan of the Radon Nasp, but I'm gonna use at least one in this video because, well, that is the point. So let's talk about what's going into this list. Now, one of the weird things that's going in here is going to be Yoda. Now you're thinking, wait, this is a Wookiee list. Why is Yoda going in there? Trust me, he's the only non-Wookiee. We're going to put Yoda in here. frankly, he's the only like non-Wookiee in here that I can trust. And I think if you're watching this, I hope you believe me. I feel like the Wookiees can trust Yoda. I think Yoda's cool. I think they'd be cool with him, right? Like I feel like that works. Whoops, I don't want that. Yeah. I feel like all of that is okay. I feel like they would be okay with having him. Let's move this over, recenter a little bit. All right, so we're gonna run Yoda. We're gonna run a lot of upgrades. This is gonna be a low activation, but powerful activation sort of stuff. So Yoda is gonna get Force Push. I'm gonna give him Force Guidance. This isn't one that I use a whole lot, but Wookiees could probably take pretty good advantage of those surge tokens, so I like that idea. And I'm going to put Jedi Mind Trick on him because, hey, he can do some weird stuff with it, and maybe we'll want to use that. If he plays the right command card and can do multiple things multiple times, if he's going to... It could be really fun in the right context. And we'll give him Vigilance. So we'll see how all of that works. Powerful, big expensive Yoda. Again, we could run him a little lighter on the upgrades if we wanted to, but I don't want to. I'm going to run Chewbacca. Also, again, we are going to have stuff in here. We're doing stuff. Chewbacca's fun. I like the idea of running Chewbacca. It does also open up that Chewbacca Yoda command card, right? So Chewbacca is going to have Tenacity. Great upgrade. I think the last time I was running it, I actually forgot to use it, which is always embarrassing when you finish a game and you forget to use it. We'll give him Offensive Push also, and Recon Intel. I love Recon Intel. It's been going up in points consistently over the years because it is so good. It's also definitely worth its weight in the new game. So those are our two commanders. Now, we do have to come up with core. We definitely do. Now, we do know that the Noble Fighters will count as our core. So, since I'm not running clones, I'm going to need at least 3 units of the Noble Fighters. Now, our 2 Wookiees are the Wookiee Warriors, Kashyyyk Defenders. These are the new Wookiees. These are our ranged Wookiees. They're not the original Wookiees. These are the kind of the reprint, the updated ones. But if we're going with our OG Wookiees, they're the Noble Fighters. This is what used to just be Wookiee Warriors. These are your melee ones. These guys have charge. That's one way you know that they're melee. They do have surge for attack. They don't have a surge for defense. Again, white defense dice, no surge. They're going to be taking damage almost every time they're shot. But they get around that by having 3 health each. And hopefully they just kill you before you kill them. And that's a fun thing about these guys. This is why I think they're really fun. If you have been playing Legion for a long time, this is the first kind of Wookiee that originally came out. And so they're the ones with those Rick blades kind of molded onto them and stuff like that. Once they came out with the updated Wookiee Warriors expansion that had a new unit card for them, and then also this Kashyyyk Defenders, then, these guys had build options, and they didn't necessarily have to have the Rick blades on them, and they had different kinds of guns and all kinds of stuff. So we're going to run some of both of these. We're going to run 3 units of Wookiee Warriors, and I'm going to build these all out the same. They're going to be heavily kitted out, and if I'm running a lot of upgrades, I like to have duplications, so it's easier. So if I remember what one unit can do, I can remember what all of them can do, right? This is a way to make sure, a lot of times you just don't run too heavy of an upgrade. But since these guys are melee focused, they have Charge, Duelist, Indomitable, and Scale. They've got 2 black dice for melee per miniature with Surge to hit, which is pretty decent. We're going to give them the Battle Shield Wookiee. The Battle Shield Wookiee can flip his shield, you can kind of plant it and gain Armor 1, which definitely helps. But then he goes down to 2 black dice, just like the rest of the unit, no problem there. Or you can pick it up. When he plants it and he gains Armor 1, they're a little slower. But if you pick it up and then you get 2 red dice, you get a better attack when you're ready to charge in. So we're going to run the Battle Shield Wookiee. We're also going to put Tenacity on these guys. And we're going to give them Offensive Push, because, again, when they're charging in, it's great to get a little extra something. Black dice, even with Surge to hit, are still going to yield you a couple of dice that are unfavorable. So we want to have a little bit of protection for that, especially when the big moment comes. If we're able to charge in before we've lost multiple models, and we can actually maximize our damage output, that would be great. Although I will point out, tenacity does make it like even if you did lose a model, that's okay. It also works into the Battleforce option because hey, we get a free move, and now we're even closer to being able to make that charge work. So that is definitely a thing. All right, we're gonna give them recon intel again. They're not super fast, but they're not super slow. I mean, speed 2 is fine, but again, any unit that wants to charge needs all the movement they can get. And I'll give them fragmentation grenades. It's just an overall, it's still a good grenade. And these guys will sometimes shoot. These guys will sometimes shoot. And frankly, that's a good thing because their ranged is still good. It's still a black and a white. It's only range 1 to 2. Hey, if they're within range of the grenades, they've already got a solid attack. And that's a good thing. So overall, I want them to be a little bit flexible. I'm kind of already going with a melee heavy, like charge, get in your face, rock. You know, like these giant big hairy ogres are coming at you. So I want to give myself what little flexibility I can. So we're gonna make 3 of those. We're gonna duplicate that 3 times. That's expensive. There's a lot. I'm already up to 682 points just from that. Now we are going to add some Kashyyyk Defenders. We want some ranged guys. We want some ranged Wookiees in here. Now the Kashyyyk Defenders have a little bit less, but they have Sharpshooter 1, which is nice. They don't have anything that lets them attack for free after a move, though, and that's where Yoda can come in a little bit. He can give some people Relentless and things like that. So that's going to really help with these guys. Now, these guys' ranged attack is actually worse. Even though they're the ranged unit, their ranged attack is worse because they have 2 white dice instead of a black and a white. So they are very much hurting. They're very much hurting. But they have higher range, so they can make those range 3 shots. So 2 white dice, but it's range 1 to 3. And then they still do have the surge to hit, so they can get a little bit of stuff on that. Their melee attack is a little weaker too, so their dice pool all around is not as good. But Sharpshooter 1 helps a little bit. So what are they going to get? Now, the option here, really, since you're not going to go with the shield, is the Bowcaster, which is range 1 to 3, a red and a white, and it's got Impact 1 and Pierce. Or the Long Gun Wookiee, which is a range 4 suppressive with 2 black. Now, the Long Gun is a little bit cheaper, and it gives you longer range, but I am sticking with the Bowcaster because it synergizes with the range of the unit. I don't necessarily want to have to take a range 4 shot and not have my range 3 guys there. I'd rather have everybody shooting. Plus, Pierce 1 is great. It gives you a little bit of impact also, so if you have to shoot vehicles, hey, I'm getting 1 damage through. That's awesome. It's like a sure thing, kind of. It's kind of a sure thing. It's never always a sure thing, but you have really good chances of punching through armored targets this way. So what else are we going to run? Since we got some new upgrades, I liked the idea of mission objectives. Now, normally I would have put offensive push on these guys, but I said let's go ahead and do mission objectives. Because this is a unit that might not be dying as first. They don't need to charge. They can stay at range 3. They can stay behind heavy cover. They can potentially be the last ones getting shot. They may need to shoot multiple times, and maybe they don't want to have to waste an action to recover and then wonder when they're going to be able to use offensive push again. Maybe they're going to want to aim and shoot. Mission objective might work better for them because they have better range, they are more likely to be able to shoot somebody who's contesting an objective, and they can use this every turn. So they're going to get lots of uses out of this upgrade card, and I think potentially a lot more rerolls than offensive push would end up giving them. And so I thought that would be a good opportunity to try out mission objective on these guys. So that is a fun one. And they're going to leave their equipment slot empty right now, but I'm going to put fragmentation grenades on them as well, in case they do get into close range, and in case they find themselves needing the surge to crit. This, and again, they do already have surge to hit. So this one isn't super incredible. You're changing 2 white dice for a red die, so you're going to get a little bit more consistency there in your dice pool as a whole. It gives you, you know, again, when you have limited rerolls, which they'll have limited rerolls, but not terrible. I think it's a good change to the dice pool. And the surge to crit, again, if you're going up against vehicles, having that option. If you have to get close to a vehicle, that's definitely a way to do it. So that's the bulk of the infantry. We're at 796 points right here, but we're going to run an extra one of those Wookiee warriors. We're going to duplicate that one. That brings us to 910, which does give us room for the Rada Nasp Fluttercraft, which is a cover 2. It's got the immune to blast and melee and range 1 weapons, and it's got reposition and speeder 2. Again, those grenades won't work against a Rada Nasp or a snow speeder and things like that. But the cool thing about the Rada Nasp is that we also have the attack craft, which is a different version, which has the attack run keyword. One of the things I love about Tabletop Admiral is I can click on attack run. It says at the start of its activation, a unit with the attack run keyword may increase or decrease its speed by 1 until the end of that activation, which is really cool. Still got the cover 2, reposition speeder 2, special issue Wookiee Defenders. They can only go in here. That's an important thing. So when we're looking at them, not a whole lot of changes, but it gives them a little extra flexibility, and that's a good thing. So we're going to run the attack craft. It is 2 more points, but we have extra flexibility with that. When we run the attack, that craft, we're going to put this bombardier in here because, hey, guess what? We really want to be able to make sure we're using this overrun keyword. And that's kind of the reason to bring the Fluttercraft, I think, is to do overrun. There's a, you know, you could go with the gunner if you want to do rear shots. It's not a bad attack pool. 4 dice with impact 1, pierce 1. That's not terrible, but I want to do this. I want to do the Fluttercraft thermal detonator attack from the bombardier. So we're going to put him on there, and we're going to put comms jammer on this one. We're likely to be close. We might. This is just a fun upgrade that I almost never use, but it's fun. This is the right unit to put it on too. And then we're going to give it strike and fade, which is a special case here. Units with speeder only, and they can take this even if they don't have the training slot, which exactly is the one that it can do. After this unit makes an attack action, you may ready this card, or you may exhaust this card. If you do, you can make a move action. So you got a lot of this. There's cool stuff that you can do with all of this, right? You can take a normal attack, do strike and fade, get your moves, get your positioning on, and hopefully this allows you to make use of both of your overrun attacks, because you got 2 overrun attacks for all of this. It seems like it's a fun way to do it. If I end up loving this, maybe I'll pick up a second Fluttercraft at some point. This brings us to 997 points. That is the list. We got commands we've got to do also. So let's take a look at the commands. Now this isn't going to be super hard. We are going to run size matters sometimes. But let me start off with what's obvious. We're going to run all 3 of Yoda's command cards. And those will probably be the only ones that I play. When I run Yoda, I just run these same 3 cards over and over again. And that's just how it goes. So size matters not. There is no try. And luminous beings are we. We're just going to run those. We're going to be doing those over and over again. There is no try is just a really good one, right? I just thought give outmaneuver and relentless right away. It's cool. You're only going to get 1 trooper, 1 Wookiee to be able to do that, but it's going to be a strong attack when it happens, because then they can like move, shoot, right? Like that's really cool. And that could be a good first turn play potentially if you wanted to get a move, range 3 shot with impact and pierce and all that other stuff. Could be a cool thing. It's dangerous to do that, to be aggressive on the first turn. I still haven't figured it all out yet. Yeah, so there's no try. Size matters not. This is the one where, this is one of the reasons why I gave Yoda all those Force upgrades. You know, he might. You know, he may do all this stuff. He may put out all kinds of suppression. I like having the flexibility to do it. It's cool. And it gives him speed 3 also. It's just a very flexible card. It's a fun card, and I like it. And then Luminous Beings Are We. This is going to hand out tokens to everybody, too. Great card. It's just, I feel like this all works really, really well with this list, with the Wookiees, and he'll synergize, and I think it'll just be fun, too. You've kind of got a swamp theme going on for everybody. Seems fun to me, since we don't have any stinky clones around here that are going to betray us. But we do have other things now. We do need size matters sometimes in here, because that's kind of one of the cool things about bringing Yoda and Chewbacca together. Yoda can carry, or Chewie can carry Yoda, and that can be fun. And then there's the Guardian thing. You can help have Yoda keep Chewie alive. You got the deflect getting thrown in there. I don't expect to actually use this one a whole lot, but it's cool to have the option. I think we're gonna go with as our 1 pip, and it's I don't expect to, and I'll probably use this one very much, but this gives me options. All right. When a friendly unit is issued an order by a commander Wookiee trooper unit, and the cool thing about this is, if I lose Yoda, Chewie can issue this. If I lose Yoda and Chewie, any of my other guys are still going to be able to issue this, because they're all Wookiee trooper units, and whoever I would nominate to become the new commander, right? So this will always work, unless it's only the Fluttercraft that's the only thing that's left. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, so this can give us some tokens, right? So yeah, we'll put that one in there. And so that's our 2 1s, our 2 2s, and we need another 3. So our other 3 is going to be demoralize 1, right? Is the 3 pip that we're gonna play. I have to name the names. My wife is in the other room, like, what are you doing? I'm reading Wookiee cards, babe. I'm reading Wookiee cards for the video. It's for the video. They're gonna love this at home. They're gonna love it. They're gonna love it. I should edit that out. Do they think I'm crazy? They're gonna love that she thinks I'm crazy. We'll see. And then we'll put standing orders in. All right, folks. So that is the list. I'll put a link in the video description below. You guys can check it out. I'm gonna have some fun with this one, and who knows? If you guys are coming out to Orlando, when I want to say in September, we're having Crucible or QuestCon Orlando. That is a thing that's happening. It's gonna be a big wargaming convention. You know, Warhammer Legion Grand Tournament. That is going to be happening, so that's going to be fun. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be helping out. I might be playing. That's my goal. And maybe I'll bump into you. Maybe you'll play me and play my Wookiees, and we'll see who has the stronger fur and who has the best Wookiee roar. That's always a fun thing. And there's also a cool painting competition that they're doing this year too. So lots of cool stuff. So we'll check it all out. All right, that's going to do it for today's video. Let me know what you think down in the comments section below. I will talk to you later. May the Force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes. So say we all. And always wash your socks.